Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the Let's Play world. This is episode number 4, I believe. Last episode, we did our interiors here. Wow, it is kind of hard to control in third person. Yeah, we did our interiors in here. A little closet, bedroom, storage area, attic. And then also downstairs, we did, the little living space and also our kitchen. I did not know this, but apparently you can use shears on the glowberries to stop them from growing instead of just putting string underneath. So that's awesome. Saved a couple pieces of string there. We also did the interior last episode for the Baba Yaga house out that way. And then my favorite thing we did, and the last thing we did last episode, would be our custom trees here. I'm very happy with those. Eventually we will have a whole bunch of these back behind our little cottage here. But today, that's not what I'm going to focus on. I will also eventually get to the terraforming by the Baba Yaga house. But I realized last episode that I am lacking in a lot of infrastructure in our world here. And what I mean by that is I start building something and I typically go a little bigger than I intend to. So I start building something and then I realize I have to do a lot of resource gathering, just more than I signed up for, to be quite frank. And last episode, that really got to me and made me take forever to do these interiors. I mean, just forever. So I want to get a little infrastructure set up in our world here. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but what that means for us today is I want to do something a little more technical. And by technical, I mean, we're going to build a villager breeder. God, that sounds so wrong. I'll never get over that. But yeah, we're going to be building a villager breeder, and I have an idea for how I want to make it in my style, right? Like aesthetic and nice to be around. As nice as that contraption can be. Yeah, I will be following a modified design from Impulse. At one point, you could have a villager breeder and iron farm in one, but they did change it to where now the villagers cannot be scared of a zombie to breed. So really, you can build 2 in one farm, but you have to have it either in iron mode or baby villager mode. So my thought process behind this is I'm going to go ahead and build the villager breeder first so we can get some villagers set up. And then once I have enough villagers, we can then go ahead and use those for the iron farm that I'm wanting to build, because iron is a problem. I like building with very expensive iron objects. So yeah, that's something that we need in our world. But my idea for this villager breeder, which I do have some supplies in here, I will definitely need more supplies than this. My idea for it, and this is maybe a little crude, I don't know. But my idea is that we're building it inside of an inn. Yep. So I think that would be really fun. I think it would give it a little bit of humor, but also it will definitely fit within our world here. I'm thinking kind of a little bit more of your classic Tudor architecture style, still with a fantasy twist, of course. But I did some designing in a creative world, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the technical part of this first, so then we can build around it and make sure we don't run out of room on the inside. Alrighty, so I am currently just kind of scouting out an area that I want to put this in. I kind of want to keep our cottage over there away from the villager area, because this inn, I think, is going to be part of a town of sorts. And I want that cabin, cottage, whatever you want to call it, I want that to feel very, maybe not very, but I want that to feel at least slightly isolated. Also, we do have a village back this way, so to get the villager breeder started, this will definitely be the easier location to do so. The one problem I have is going to be the jungle within render distance. The easiest solution to that is just to cut all those trees down. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the jungle in the background. It kind of doesn't go with the vibes or the theme that I'm going for here. But I do think that this little place right here, this little platform up here, is far enough away from the cottage and then close enough to this village to make sense, to be convenient. And it is kind of, it's a nice large area, and this looks like just the perfect place to put my horse, to be honest. But yeah, this looks like a very convenient spot to build it. It looks big enough. It's close to the village, far enough away from the cottage to where the little town isn't going to feel like it's encroaching. And what we can also do eventually is expand down that way. I think that could be cool along the water side. So this is looking promising to me. I think we're gonna set up up here. Let's get a horse hole going. I do this literally every single night. But I think we're definitely gonna be doing this farm over a time lapse because it's not gonna be very interesting to build. Then we'll get the villagers in there and they can actually start breeding while we build our exterior. So let's roll into that time lapse. So I'm actually in the middle of recording a time lapse for this episode, and I realized I didn't tell y'all what I did in between episodes. I actually went mining. I actually upgraded my pickaxe, so I spent some time at our zombie skeleton dual spawner system and got Silk Touch on this one and efficiency 5, and then I also went to the nearby village and I basically replaced a lectern over and over and over again until I got a mending trade. So I traded for 1 mending book, put that on our pickaxe. Yeah, and then I also did some more enchanting and got a fortune 3 pickaxe as well. So then I went mining and I got a lot of diamond ore with my Silk Touch, used the fortune on it, so I got 28 plus 62 in there. So that's pretty cool. That is partially kind of what has inspired this project that we're doing today. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little time lapse. This is what we're working with. Not my usual thing, right? I wanted to use the new tough blocks and then black stained glass just for the farmy part of this. Don't worry though, the outside of the inn is going to look like an inn and not like some sort of postmodern evil contraption. Yeah, so this is our farmland up here. I do want this to double as a carrot farm as well. So we got some of those growing up in here. I'll just go ahead and get as many carrots as I can before we put in the villagers, because if I feed them all of my carrots, that'll get the breeding kick started. So this is, I think, where I'm going to take in the farmer. I'm also going to have to find a way to get 3 villagers into this spot. No problem. I'll probably have to build a minecart system up here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to figure out how to get the villagers in here. Luckily, the village is right over this hill, so I don't have to go too far. But I'm going to try to use boats as much as I can. I'm thinking boats and then a water elevator to get them up, because I don't have that much iron for minecarts. And there's the village right there. So yeah, we'll see. I'm probably going to take this river with the boats just so we can go a little faster. And then maybe I'll dig something underneath the hill and bubble column them up. Alrighty, so I have our really horrifically ugly contraption set up. Basically, there is the river down there, which if I run enough, you can probably see it. Yeah, so basically this river connects to the village. I'm going to take a boat with a villager along the river, and then somewhere down in there, you can't see it because of the trees, I have a tunnel that goes underneath here. The tunnel leads, well, I guess it's lined up with this. The tunnel leads to a bubble column, which will shoot us up into here, into this, and then I will try my very best to get the villager into a minecart. And once that happens, it will take the villager all the way up into here. And so we'll have our farmer. And then I'll have to make another minecart track to lead 3 villagers into that one. So yeah, we got 4 villagers to move. Hopefully this goes smoothly. And also this is like the ugliest thing I've ever built in my life. It's kind of amazing. All right, we got our first villager. secured. So down to the river we go. I did make a little bridge here so that we don't get stuck on the pathway. This is gonna take a while. Okay, we're on the water. And now we just go until we find our little tunnel, which I do think it's right around this corner up here. There it is. All right, moment of truth. I got plenty of villagers in the village, so hopefully this doesn't go wrong, but if it does, no big deal. And then all the way up there, you can kind of see, maybe not on YouTube, but you can kind of see the bubble column that we got going on. I'd put some glass blocks on there so he doesn't suffocate, but we'll just see how this goes. Alrighty, moment of truth here. Let's see how this works. Awesome, no suffocation. And, oh, is he still in the boat? He's still in the boat. Okay, awesome. Yay, okay, so this worked. I'm sweating a little bit. Now I just need to get him out of this boat, which I don't want to hit him. There we go. Because you know what? I might want this guy's trades. Who knows? And then we need to put him in the minecart. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay. Well, that's why I have installed this door. He can't get out, but I can. There we go. Go on. You got this. Okay, he's out. Let's go through my door. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so what I need to do is replace this with farmland. I do not have my hoe, so let's go grab that. Alrighty, now we just need to get him out of the minecart, and then I will try to, you know what? We just need to make this to where he cannot get out. That saves him. I can take some fall damage. I don't think he will want to. Okay. And there's our guy. Awesome. And he went and he got his job. Let's see what traits he has actually. 22 carrots. Okay, okay. Bam. He's locked in and he's starting his job. Awesome. And you know what? Let's just throw in the rest of our carrots. I want my scaffolding back. Thank you. Now he has an inventory full of carrots. This should quick start the villager breeder for us. All right, our rail is set up to go into here. Hopefully this works. But I need to get 3 of them into these beds here. And you know what, just in case. I'm just gonna make sure they don't shoot off too far and then get down into the collection system. That would be kind of annoying. Alrighty, second villager secured. Let's do this again. I have no idea whether or not this is actually efficient. It's just what my brain thought was a good idea. But the one thing I'll give it is it feels like playing Minecraft back in the day, especially this tunnel part. I mean, this just feels nostalgic for some reason. All right, we got our guy in the minecart. Let's see if this works. Please, 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 please. He's in there. Okay, I didn't think about this part. Got to get the minecart off of him. We've got plenty of targets to choose from down here. This is horrible. I'm kidnapping them. All right, looks like we got guy number 2 in here. Let's go ahead and get you out of your minecart, buddy. All right, we got all 3 in here. The villager breeder should be running now. So I'm gonna just get rid of these bad boys. And I think it's about time we tear this monstrosity down. See if those guys actually sleep. If not, I'm gonna have to break those 2 beds and let them claim the ones in the middle. Yeah, it looks like they want the beds on the side. Okay, we're gonna have to get them to claim the ones in the middle. So while we're waiting for nighttime, I figured I could kind of explain how this farm works. Basically, farmer got his job from the composter right there, sees all the carrots, breaks the carrots, gets a bunch of carrots in his inventory. Then what he does is he comes over to these guys. The bell does help draw him closer, and he throws the carrots at them, and they hopefully breed. I did break these beds on the side because they were trying to claim these. These ones are meant to be for the baby villagers to claim. So when they claim it, they try to walk towards it, which these 2 trapdoors basically trick them into thinking they can, but oh no, they fall. And this is where my design diverges from the Impulse design, because that one did originally have an iron farm attached, and there's like a zombie over here and stuff. I just cut that part out because you can't do the 2-in-1 anymore. So the babies will then fall into this water stream, and then the trapdoors keep the water from the fence gates keep the water from going any further, and then they fall into this water stream, and they fall down in here, and then any carrots that fall past the villagers get put into these hoppers and will go into this chest right here. So yeah, this is kind of like our little holding cell for them. We'll figure out how we can make that more interesting, but for now, that's what we got. So yeah, I'm trying to get them to claim these 3 beds so that the babies can claim these ones. All right, I just saw some green sparkles, so that means my plan is working. Okay, green sparkles. We are good to go. I think they should sleep in their beds. That right there looks a little dangerous. Is he gonna fall? No, okay. That's something to keep an eye on. So I think I just missed the recording, but I saw him throw carrots to them. So it's at least kind of working. I also went to the village and I broke all of the beds in the village nearby, even though it's over 100 blocks away. I just figured just in case. So I don't know why they keep getting these green particles. I'm gonna have to look that up. Like he's getting them too. What is going on? Oh, are they gonna do it? I feel like I should look away. Oh, let's see. I hear baby. There's a baby. Oh, we captured our first baby villager on film. This is awesome. Now let's see if he tries to claim his bed. I think he's stuck right there. But he should see the beds on the sides and try to claim one and then go down into the holding chamber. Well, it looks like it's getting dark. Okay. And there he goes. Okay, perfect. And now it's time for me to get in my bed. All right, so now that we know for sure that this thing is working, we can get started on hiding it. I mean, as far as farms are concerned, I do like the tough blocks with the carrots, and I thought the shroom lights, I mean, that's what I had that was cheap, right? But they do look, it looks like a carrot farm because of the shroom lights. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I don't love it, but we're still gonna cover up the whole thing. And also I'm curious. Okay, no carrots in there yet, but if any carrots kind of overflow, they should end up in this chest. So we do have kind of a carrot farm for later on if we want golden carrots. But yeah, so for my plans to cover it up, this is going to be the side where we do have our entrance. I am going for a magical tavern / inn kind of thing. Think like a stereotypical D&D tavern. It's going to be a little fantastical. I want to put like a big sign on it in the shape of like a crescent moon or something like that. It's gonna be pretty cool. I did get started planning it in creative, and for this, we are kind of diverging from our palette of copper. I mean, there's still gonna be some copper. I don't think I can even live without copper these days. You know, there's not gonna be as much or any mangrove wood or anything like that. I'm gonna do some more sandstone type stuff and give it more of a Tudor kind of styling with, you know, big sloped fantasy roofs. But yeah, I figured a tavern would be kind of funny to put around our villager breeder. Like they're up there in the rooms doing their thing. And then since the baby villagers come down to the bottom, we could have a sort of bar down here. We could transform this into a bar and they could just grow up behind the bar. So it's like we have like a bar staff in the meantime. And then I do not want to set my trading hall up in this. I mean, it would be too small anyways. What I do want to do is instead of just having a bunch of random buildings kind of far away from each other, I want a cluster of buildings in this area. I want to make a little town. The jungle is really bothering me in the distance, so I'm gonna have to cut those trees down whenever I need a bunch of wood for like chests and stuff, or barrels or whatever. I'll go cut those down. And if I don't like the grass color eventually, I can just cover it up with a mountain or something. Who knows? Who knows what this world is gonna bring us. So instead of having one giant trading hall, right, I would like to have a building for each type of villager. So like a blacksmith for the blacksmiths, a library for the librarians, stuff like that. You know, not the most creative concept in the world, but I think we can do some really cool things with the specifics of these builds. And I think having a little town with, you know, streets to decorate would be so fun. Maybe we can even eventually put like a little wall around it or something. I don't know. I don't know how big we're gonna go. We could even make a big old castle if we wanted to, but this is kind of the start, I think, of a bigger project. And I think this is going to be the beginning of a kingdom of sorts. And then we'll have our little starter area back off that way. We'll have that as like our little countryside area. This is exciting. We have some infrastructure happening in our world now. Alrighty, so I did a little bit of work off camera. I did close up this water elevator, gathered a whole bunch of stuff as y'all saw in that montage, and I did some planning for our inn here. So I have a little bit of a footprint laid out for our entrance. And as a side note, I guess maybe an update changed, or just the way I changed the farm design, it just didn't quite work. So 2 of my 3 villagers escaped from their little holding cell here. So, well, now I'm seeing that one of those fence posts is in the wrong place. 1 second. There we go. That's in the correct place now. Yeah, 2 of my 3 guys escaped from here. So I put these fence posts in just so they can't escape. I think they were escaping through this gap right here. And these ones were just weirding me out a little bit. I didn't quite trust them. So those fence posts are there now. And then we still got 4 guys down in there. No carrots yet, but I think those will come slowly. I'm fine with it being slow. It doesn't have to be super efficient. Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and get started on the front face of this. So for this build, I'm going a little bit more neutral with the color palette. And we're going to do more of a Tudor style fantasy inn. Think your classic D&D kind of inn. So let's go ahead and get started. Right here is going to be the entrance up to our door, which will be kind of recessed in here back a bit. And then we're going to have 2 wings here to the sides. We're going to use gradients again with moss kind of coming up from the grass here into the mossy cobble, into the tough bricks, which are then going to go into deep slate bricks, which are then going to go into deep slate and mud and deep slate bricks. I thought I saw a creeper back there. I did not. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So I'm just going to cover up that right there. I'm going to do a little bit of something like this. And then right here on these, I think that is going to be good like that, like so. And I want to be kind of minimal with these tough bricks. Oh, and by the way, I did want to include the new tough blocks in this design. So, you know, that kind of explains these. And I do also want to put some of them, just a few of these chiseled ones in the design as well. Very sparsely, maybe about once or twice per wall face. And we're just going to have this deep slate kind of, I think it goes actually from the tough to this deep slate. Yeah. I'm going to have the light kind of come up on the side a little bit right there. And then this, I do think, can also stand to be deep slate. And then right here, we are going to transition into the bricks. And with these, I just do want to be very sparse. And honestly, where this kind of comes up, I do want to have this come up with it. And this is just a little bit of an insight into how I think about my gradients. This is looking a little uniform, I believe. So let's just make this poke up a little bit more. From the bricks, we're just gonna have some mud kind of coming down here. Okay, so we have our first wall face done. As you can see, I just have the slightest bit of deep slate tiles, I believe they're called, up in there. And then we do have some of this moss kind of growing up. So with this, that is our first little wall face done. Now from here, obviously this looks really plain. I'm gonna go ahead and add some details. Okay, so for the beginning of this detailing, what I want to do is, obviously this is kind of a big wall face, right? I want to section this off. So we're gonna go in the center here. We're gonna go like that. We're gonna go like that. And over here, we'll just do one of those on the end. And then I want to transition those into bricks towards the top. So it'll be something like this. And then, you know, maybe a little bit more of that. And then, boop, we got our brick up there. Now for this one, we're just going to do that and that. And I'm leaving one space up there because that's how we're going to transition into the upper part of this building. For the last one here, we're going to do granite, a couple mud, and then for the last one, I believe that is going to be another granite. Okay, so we got some sectioned off areas here. I think the walls work a little bit better than, say, a full block here, like a log or something, because they're gonna just give us that extra little bit of differentiation between this bottom level and the top level where I will be using logs. Now I want to put some windows in here. And that is what these are for. These new blocks are absolutely gorgeous. And I think they work really well is some sort of stained glass window. Or you know glass, I don't know what it's called, but that glass that has the little, it's not necessarily stained glass, but kind of I don't know the name for it. But glass where it's kind of pieced together. That's what this looks like to me. That was my first thought when I saw these blocks. I just think they're gonna work so well. So for that, I think we're gonna go like that. We're gonna cut out some of our beautiful work here. And we're gonna do that on both sides. And then one thing about using mud like this, and I don't know why I just used my axe, on my starter home, I've actually had some issues, one singular issue, I should say, with Enderman actually pulling blocks out of my walls. But for these, we are going to do a little bit of a gradient actually. So when thinking about this, I'm going to kind of want the shadows to be on the left right here. So the oxidized ones are slightly darker than these ones, the weathered ones. And we got cats spawning, by the way, which I love. So we're going to use these as a little bit of a shadow. It's barely noticeable. Honestly, I don't think most people would pick up on it, but it's just one of those little details. You can see it from right here. It's one of those little details that I think really will bring the build together. So let's go ahead and do that on this side as well. We're going to switch it up slightly. I don't want these to be the exact same on both sides, and I did this wrong. So this one just has a little bit of that shadow coming through. And honestly, I don't think it would look bad if this one was also the oxidized. Partially because I'm cheap with the honey too. I don't have a honey farm yet. All right, so for this next part, we need a little bit of fills, I guess you could say for our windows. But first, let's add that shape we're talking about here. So I'm just gonna use those, just like that. Get a little bit of an archway going here. And for this one, I'm gonna use that little bit of shadow right there to give some interest. And then to add just a little bit of extra shape to these, I am going to put dark oak because that is unfortunately just the most similar trapdoor color we have to these grays, just because it's dark. Now that doesn't match amazingly, but it's okay because this is going to be covered up by these bad boys. This is going to be a closed, what are these things called? Shutter. This is going to be a little bit of a closed shutter right here. And then we are going to also put one, it's just going to be a temporary block. Put an open one on this side, just like so. All right, so we have a little bit of a shutter situation going on in here. And then I'd also, there we go, just like that, have somewhat of a windowsill going on here. Now, I actually think this side does not have one because I'm going to put a little garden right here. But we can put one on this side. So, oh, this works out perfectly. This little thing is just barely going to peek out. Oh, that's kind of nice. I like that. We'll just put one of those. Have the other one like that, just to add a little bit of extra interest with that. And for this side, we are going to have a totally open shutter here. Just like that. And then on this one, it's going to be partially open. So we just have a little bit of differentiation between these two windows. Underneath here, just to add a little bit of detail, because I already know that I want to add this, a barrel like that, a barrel like that, and then just a little bit of spruce wood to kind of look like a little wood pile or something along those lines. Nothing too fancy or anything like that, but this is what we're working with so far. As for what's going to go right here, I want to put a little bit of a garden with some azalea leaves. We're going to be using a lot of copper trap doors for this build, partially because they're new, but they're also just beautiful. And this is how much honeycomb I have in total, which is partially a problem. Okay, so don't mind the rain. For this little garden area, I just want something like that. We'll keep in mind where our shadows are coming from. So our shadows are kind of up in this direction. So for the light on this side, we are going to kind of assume that the light is coming from this way, hence the shadows right there and the light peeking in. So we're actually going to put the light trapdoor right there and then the shadowier one right there. Not all of the trapdoors I add are going to have this little bit of detail, right now I'm just trying to save on wax. It's really that simple. And then right here, I'm gonna have a tough wall just to kind of round out that corner a little bit. And from here, we're gonna think more about putting these azalea leaves in. So there's a couple like that. I do wanna have some kind of come down in here, go right there. Nothing crazy, but just enough to add some interest. Actually, I'm gonna put that right there and then have another azalea leaf right there. Alrighty, and then I'm just gonna add some grass onto these just to kind of help it with the shape, kind of give it a bushier shape, right? This is kind of what we do instead of installing the Better Leaves mod, or whatever that mod is called where it makes the leaves look nicer. I don't know, I'd rather just do it in vanilla. And then right here, I do want to have a flower pot with this in there. I think this is a great little highland looking flower, meadow, whatever you want to call it. I think that is great. And then in here, I just think that looks nice. So this is our bottom story here. The only other thing I would change about this or add is I do want to do a couple more flower pots up in here. Alrighty, I got some more flower pots now. We're gonna add a little bit of a fern back in there. And you know what, actually, let's do that one back behind there. I think that looks kind of cool peeking through. And then over on this side, I'm just going to go a little bit more minimal with this. Have a flower pot right there and have a fern. I think that looks really beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Now we're gonna get started on the second story to this part of the building. All right, so we're gonna start this upper portion with a little bit of a trim, which I'm gonna start with some dark oak stairs on each of these, just like so. And then to the side of these, I'm gonna have some slabs here. And then up here, and we aren't building on each of these little sections, it is an even number of blocks. I'm okay with that though, because that's really just a problem when it comes to roofing, and this whole thing is odd, so that's okay. And then in the center, we're gonna have some dark oak trapdoors here, just like so. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because with this build, I have decided to do something a little bit more interesting with the way I trim it with wood. So in the past, I've kind of just done one wood color and that's it. I'm going to texture this some. Texture is really the wrong word. I'm going to shade this. So we're going to see how that goes. So I'm going to go from the stripped dark oak wood, right, into dark oak planks, into spruce logs, just like that. And from the spruce logs, we're actually going to go even weirder with this and put that into gray terracotta. I just think those blocks look kind of nice next to each other. I don't know. I wanted to experiment a little bit. So this is what I came up with. To help blend this even further, I'm just going to do a little bit of dark oak button. It kind of just bridges this gap a little bit better. Even on the bottom, we're going to have a little bit of shading here. So this shading is just going to be minimal. Really, it's just those planks. So we got our first little section here done. You can see the shadows kind of forming. I just think this looks really nice. And there's the other side done. Obviously, we're going to be putting some details in here. So what I have figured out for that is something different than I typically go for in these kinds of builds, actually. Don't worry, we're going to strip the birch. We are going to do a little bit more of a Tudor style. It's not perfect or exact. So let's go ahead and actually, I want to use a trash block here. We'll just use a piece of moss. And we're going to do that same shading. It's kind of coming from this way. So something like that. Just strip those. And that's going to go into smooth sandstone, which is then going to go into bone block. That's kind of what we're looking like for the shading on that. And then in this little corner right here, whoops, we'll have some calcite just for a little bit of a highlight. On the sides, I wanted to kind of continue that theme of walls. So we're going to do something like this, something like that. And then over here as well, we're just going to continue those upwards. So it kind of ends up looking like that. My favorite rule, when in doubt, add a planter. This is a little awkward for a little bit of a window here. It doesn't really go with the style we want. So we're just going to do a little bit of this. Power shadow coming from right there. Just a little bit like that. And then I also want to add a moss block in right there. And then on the bottom of this moss block, we're gonna add some glowberries. So one of my commenters, their name is Alice Petal, actually told me that you can snip those to stop them from growing instead of putting string underneath. I feel like an old person. I don't know how I didn't know that. Also, for some extra depth, I am adding some slabs right there. It kind of gives a nice little curve. That's literally the worst angle I could show it at. Just a nice little curve to that. So that adds just a little bit of depth to our building. Right here, I'm gonna add, you guessed it, another planter. So that's how we're looking with this so far. And then I do want to add just some azalea leaves right there. The next thing we have to add on here is going to be the roof. I'm doing something a little different. Let's go ahead and get this roof set up. We're just going to go like this. I want kind of a larger relatively overhang on this roof. And I want the trim of this roof to be mud. So for the roof here, I'm going to go for a mud trim, just like so. We're going to go one out on each side as well. And then in here, I'm going to be doing deep slate. So the deep slate is going to start our gradient here. Alrighty, so we're starting out with the deep slate tiles and the deep slate bricks. And I did go ahead and kind of add our outline here. And then from these deep slate bricks, we are going to be going into the tough bricks. From the tough bricks, we're going to be going into just the regular tough. And then from this tough, we're going to go into the mossy cobblestone. Next is going to be the mossy brick stairs. So if we want to take a look from far away, that's kind of what our gradient looks like on the roof. It looks pretty nice. Kind of looks a little bit weathered, a little bit like there's some moss growing on there. And I think it really contrasts nicely with the mud we've got going. Yeah, this is our first little section of the inn complete. There's a couple more details I want to add, like some copper trapdoors right there, but I'm just going to wait until I have the honey for that. I'm going to continue with a time lapse, and we'll finish this entire building that surrounds this whole thing. So this ugly thing will never be seen again, not on the outside at least. Alrighty, you guys, it has taken me several days, but we finally finished the inn. So obviously I put a bunch of carrots on this thing. I just thought it was fun. I thought of a cool name while I was building it, the Crescent Carrot, because it's an inn, so you got like a crescent moon. It's on the other side. And then it's also a carrot farm, so carrots everywhere. Yeah, I did use Lightmatica to build this thing, just tested it out, and you know what? I don't know how I felt about it. Did it make the process faster or just more convenient? I don't know. There's a lot of back and forth of me, oh, I forgot to get this material. Oh, I forgot to get this material, and so on. So I don't know if it actually ended up being faster. I don't know. I just wanted to get this episode out in a somewhat timely manner for you guys. So that's why I did that. But I don't know if I'll be using it again, to be honest. It didn't feel as satisfying as building it completely by hand. But yeah, we can go over some details on this thing. Just doing a little bit of a perimeter on foot out here. We got a big old chimney. I actually really like this chimney. It's very simple. I made it a little bit dilapidated looking
just to add some extra detail. And I put some campfires in there, again, to add some life to the build. Obviously, this build needs a little bit of landscaping around it to make it look more than just like a dollhouse plopped down, you know? There's our crescent moon. It is held up by those fences and fence gates, like a little billboard kind of thing. Got some details down here. These buttons are supposed to kind of represent like little carrots budding up. I'm not really sure why there would be random carrots right here, but you know what? We're gonna go with it. Got some barrels. I really love the copper grates for windows. I just think it looks so cool. Yeah, lots of copper trapdoors. Luckily, they're not as expensive as they were in the snapshots, so that's good. I did find myself kind of running out of them all the time, and also you'll probably notice that some of the stuff didn't get done in the time lapse, and that's just because with Lightmatica, I just did the big stuff first and went back and did all the little details afterwards, just because of stuff being in my inventory, you know? Yeah, that's why this carrot got done last. You know, honestly, I think that's a pretty good carrot. I like it. Also, these little miniature ones, just sandstone wall, acacia fence, and then a flower pot with a fern in it. Looks like a little carrot. I just thought that was cute. Another thing with this is with the farm and how I built it, and then with Lightmatica, the inside was a block or two off. So this little section right here didn't it didn't really turn out how I wanted it to, but I think it's okay. I think if you don't think about it, it's not too bad. This also has been spawning cats left and right, which I'm not mad about. We could get one of every variant and get that achievement. I do have like a little carrot garden right here, and a wandering trader trampled it, so we might have to put something to stop things from getting up there. I don't know. But yeah, there's also a little miniature chimney right there. If we want to take a look at the inside, I'm just going to warn you, it's a mess. There's a horse on the floor. Yeah, this is what the inside is looking like. It is real rough. I do eventually want to do an interior in here, and I did open up this little section so that the villagers can kind of have extra space to come out. And you can see the breeder is definitely working very well. Actually, let's just see how many we've got in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. Hopefully nothing spawns in there. I don't know if baby zombies can spawn in 1 block spaces. That is something I've never really known. All these guys, all 3 of them, are still stuck up in here, which is good. Our farmer is still hard at work, and I did have to block up a couple of these just because of how it was looking on the outside of the building. So this doesn't look quite as nice as it did before, but it's functional, and I prefer the outside to look nice rather than the inside that I'm never going to look at. So yeah, this is just, honestly, this is one of those builds that I had a really hard time planning for some reason. I think it's just because I'm not used to building around something. So building around this farm was definitely a challenge for me because it is rather big and bulky, right? So that was something that definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. Definitely forced me to go bigger with this build, which I'm not mad about. I think it looks pretty nice. And then it's also worth mentioning the gradients I used in this. I think I actually went over this when I built the first side. It's been like a week since I recorded the last segment because this took me forever to finish planning and building, and gathering all the materials was a lot. If you're not familiar with Lightmatica, it's basically a mod where it puts down a projection of what you need to build. So you can see all the blocks and everything, but you have to have those blocks in your inventory to place them down. So I still gathered everything. It's not like, you know, creative mode or anything like that. I still wasn't, I don't know how I felt about it. It was an experiment for me, I guess. I'd never really used it before. But yeah, we have a little balcony right here. This is one of my favorite parts. It is a carrot garden. A little carrot garden right here. Red sandstone, some weathered copper. It just looks nice. This right here needs to be blended in a little bit more. We have a blocked off door here just because the villagers are kind of back in here, so I didn't even want to add a door just in case a zombie got in or they got out. Yeah, I just didn't want to mess with that. But that's about all for the roof gradient. I did do tiles up towards mossy stone bricks, and I think it turned out pretty cool. Roof shape is another thing that I wanted to go for, just kind of have like a little bit of a sweep, I guess. I think the big one does it the best. But yeah, this tree is eventually going to go. I'll put in some custom trees, lots of greenery, lots of copper, lots of supports. And I really do like the entrance being this little alcove back in here. I think that's just so fun. I think the villagers have a very nice place to stay. So that makes up for me enslaving them, right? I also made sure to light up everything up there so no zombies or creepers or anything fall down. And they do have a little roof on here just in case. So yeah, we got infinite villagers now, and we're gonna set up a town for them. Instead of one giant trading hall, I do want this to be the start of the town. Also, I would just love to have villagers to trade for everything. Have renewable income. I think it'll be good. So something I wanted to do on camera with you guys is just add a little bit of a path coming out of this inn right here. So to do this, I need to think about what else is going to be around this inn. The starter cottage is back this way, so I do want the path to kind of go, you can kind of see the trees fading in right there. I want it to go generally this direction, but I also don't want it to just be straight out because that's super boring. So here's my thought process, okay? We could have a path that kind of goes to the right here that kind of is going to be up in the middle of this ridge. Or we could stick a path that goes kind of to the left here, and it would be kind of on the edge of this hill. We could have a retaining wall. I think that just sounds more interesting, to be honest. So let's make it curve facing this way towards the left. To start off this process, what I want to do is just add a little bit of this. And then some of this. This is going to help blend it into the grass some. And then from there, let's go with some mossy cobble. We're going to blend in a little bit of this pathing here. Let's hop inside, then I'll use free cam to see what that looks like, just because I know it's getting a little dark. Yeah, something like that looks pretty nice. We'll eventually add some fancier stuff onto the trail, and I just wanted to add a couple of these to blend it a little bit. And you know what? It would look kind of cool in there too. So yeah, there's a little path. I also don't remember if I went over this, but this thing actually does produce quite a few carrots. This is what it produced while I was building it, so that's pretty good. I think another good thing to go over with this is actually how I designed it and came up with the ideas for it. Obviously, I built this first, the villager thingy, and it's a little janky looking in here now, but it's how I managed to fit it. And then I wanted to build something that surrounded it, so I did an outline, and then from there, I kind of built up this stone as tall as I thought I would want it. I tried to keep it as compact as possible because I didn't want it to get too big, but obviously I still wanted it to look nice. So for example, this walkway was not originally in that outline, but I thought it would be a cool thing to add, so I added it to the outside. Same with this little garden. In this little corner, I was like, man, it just needs something there. And I thought a carrot garden with a giant carrot, which I think is kind of funny, was thematically appropriate. Otherwise, I had a couple things I knew I wanted to add, like a big chimney, for example. I just thought that would make sense when we eventually do the interior. I would like to make this into like a giant pizza oven looking thing, and there will probably be a bar back here where the villagers can roam around. So that is a feature for both the inside and the outside. And then I came up with my block palette for up here by thinking about what style in general did I want to go with. I wanted a little bit more of a Tudor feel, not exactly a Tudor styling because a lot of this isn't Tudor, right? But I wanted a gradient and I wanted it to be a lighter color. So I thought that the smooth sandstone block was just so perfect for it. It fades pretty well into the bone block. Bone fades okay into, let's see if I can even see it somewhere, into calcite. It's okay. It's what I had on me. It's really not perfect. And then what I did from there is came up with my framing color palette, right? I didn't want it to just be these logs. I wanted to kind of get out of my comfort zone and also do a gradient for the framing. And I think the gradient for the framing turned out so cool. Evidently, I also came up with a gradient for the rock down here. And this is a wrong block. That is actually supposed to be a stair. After that, I kind of wanted to add some details on here. So I came up with how I was going to frame these bottom sections, kind of with that arch like that. Have some poles, windows, and for the window design, I did want to use these new copper blocks. Some sills for the windows or gardens, depending on which one I wanted to use. I think barrels and wooden planks are a great little tool to use for decoration outside. As for the roof, I wanted it to have quite a bit of an overhang, so I went out 2 blocks with these ones, and they just ended up being nice looking supports, so I kept that. And then I wanted to use a gradient for the roof as well. So I thought about what's going to be easy to get a lot of in survival because I knew the roof was going to be large. So stone. And also I wanted to give it kind of a darker weathered look. I could have been a little bit more realistic in how the darkness might be some water runoff or something like that.
but I did think it just looked really nice as a contrast against the mud trim. So I kind of kept a lot of it up against the edges, and then I just kind of let it flow, right? And then I wanted to add a moon on here to indicate that this is indeed an inn. Otherwise, we're gonna have to add some landscaping around this, but I don't want to go too hard with that yet because this is not going to be a standalone building. This is gonna be the beginning of our town. My little starter house is right over there. We'll be able to walk into town, and then this town is gonna have all of our village stuff, right? So all of the different shops that we're gonna make for each different type of villager. Our iron farm will probably be some sort of factory in this town. I suppose at this point, I should probably start gearing up to fight the Ender Dragon. Because like I talked about last episode, I'm going to need shulker boxes and elytra for the stuff we're going to do in the future. I always put it off though, because I just prefer, the building and everything, to be honest, in this game. All right, everybody. I think it's about that time to wrap up the episode. This probably was a little bit of a longer one, so I hope you enjoyed that. This episode probably is coming out a little bit later than normal. And so when I was originally gonna record this outro, I was gonna thank y'all for 400 subscribers, which is awesome. But by the time I'm recording this, I gotta thank y'all for 1,000. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, each and every one of you. Your support means the world to me. I didn't expect to hit 1,000 subscribers so soon. Yeah, I'm honestly in awe. I hope y'all enjoyed this build today. And I think for 1,000 subscribers, we're going to have to go kill the Ender Dragon. I think that's what's going to happen here. Again, thank you guys for watching. And I hope y'all have a great, great rest of your day. Bye-bye.